My motif for the novel Invisible Man was woman. Nearly every time a female character was introduced, she had a very important role. In the novel, women were used as symbols of angel figures and as forbidden fruit figures. This is because some women served to help Invisible Man through his journey of self-discovery, and some were major hindrances. One of the most important women in the novel was Mary Rambo. Mary Rambo was a mother figure to Invisible Man. She provided food and a place to stay when Invisible Man had nowhere to go and no one to turn to. A quote from page 252 from the novel says, "You take it easy, I'll take care of you like I done a heap of others. My name's Mary Rambo. Everybody knows me around this part of Harlem." This quote shows that Mary Rambo is a very selfless woman who is willing to give help to those that need it. Invisible Man and her grow close, and though he finds her bothersome at times, he feels heavily indebted to her for her kindness. Because many chaotic things are happening in Invisible Man's life and lots of things are going wrong, he comes to Mary for comfort and advice while also finding peace at her home. The next important woman figure was the woman in the red robe. She was never given a name and was far different from Mary Rambo. She approached Invisible Man to ask him questions about the Brotherhood ideology, but ended up seducing him and leading him astray. Being with a white woman was a huge taboo for Invisible Man, but his emotions got ahead of himself and he lost out of reality, going down the wrong path. A quote from page 411 says, "And there was something about her voice and her smile that gave me a sense of both comfort and excitement." This just shows how easily Invisible Man is tempted by a woman, and this is seen later in the novel as well. Another woman that shows similar characteristics to the woman in red is Sybil. Sybil is a drunken woman attracted to Invisible Man due to a sexual racial stereotype, and she finds him very powerful and assertive. Different than the scenario with the woman in red, however, Invisible Man pretends to submit to her desires but actually comes back to reality and makes the right choice. He comes to terms with his invisibility because he realizes that Sybil only likes him for what his race implies stereotypically, but not for who he is. A quote from chapter 24, page 520 says, "I looked at the red imprint left by the straps of her bra, thinking, who's taking revenge on whom? But why be surprised when that's all they hear all their lives? When it's made into a great power and they're taught to worship all types of power. With all the warnings against it, some are bound to want to try it out for themselves. The conquerors conquered. Maybe a great number secretly want it. Maybe that's why they scream when it's farthest from possibility." This quote shows Invisible Man recollecting on the situation and realizing that he is in fact invisible, and that people don't see him for who he truly is, but people only see him as how he's portrayed by society. The last example is Emma, Brother Jack's mistress who holds a strong position in the Brotherhood. She plays a significant role because she questions I.M. and whether or not he is black enough to fulfill the role that they want him to in the Brotherhood. This can be seen in a quote on page 303 where it says, "I heard a series of rich arpeggios sound on the piano behind me and turned to look, hearing the woman Emma sing not quite softly enough, but don't you think he should be a little black?" This leads I.M. to question his existence and his role in the Brotherhood. On page 303 he says, "What was I, a man or a natural resource?" He begins to deeply ponder what his significance in the Brotherhood is and if he made a right choice coming in to this society. This ties back to Invisible Man's invisibility because the Brotherhood wants him only for his race in order to reach a wider audience and not for the person that he is, and Invisible Man comes to realize that through this exchange. Overall, the woman motif correlates most to the central theme of identity and how in order to fully understand and gain your own sense of self, you need to break away from the identities that others impose on you. Invisible Man came to terms with his invisibility through these encounters with these women. By being used and misinterpreted, he realized that he was not being portrayed as the man he wanted to be, and only being portrayed as the person society wanted to see him as. By breaking away from these stereotypes and constrictions that society imposed on him, Invisible Man is able to embrace his invisibility and develop his own sense of self, his own identity.